This is my special ed binder that I've created throughout the course. So this is a list of my table of contents or my index here. So going on to the first section, I have the Special Education in Montana document downloaded from OPI. It explains special ed and really answers any questions that anyone may have about special ed. The next section is special education terminology. So I just created a list of words and definitions that are common throughout special ed. Okay. The next section is evaluation and IEP timeline. So I just created a timeline giving the dates of and the process of entering a student into special ed. Okay. Next is a copy of the procedural safeguards notice that will be given at every meeting with a parent. Okay. Next, best practices for ER for evaluation reports and IEP meetings. So I went through and created a few things to think about prior to the meeting, during the meeting, and conducting the IEP. And then I found some good tips on the internet, just the ideal IEP committee meeting and best practices checklist. Okay, next is assessment. So I created a list of the assessments that we use here at our school, the psychological test, evaluation, other assessments, observations, and who would provide those observations, and then our district assessments that we have. Next, and I also put a copy of those test assessments in here, so I have a copy of the core phonics and the MACI-R, okay, and then have included some transition assessments. Okay, the next section is writing PLAFs and MEGs and STOBs. So I just added in a few checklists and how to write present levels of academic achievement and functional performance goals. And the next is data collection. I've created why we do this, choosing a method to collect data, and then I've collected just several different kinds of ways to collect the data using a chart. Scheduling, planning in the special education classroom. So I just included inclusive scheduling and the steps to take for inclusive, and then questions guiding that process. And then I've also included just a schedule that could be used by a para or a special ed teacher. Okay, next is paraprofessionals in Montana. And this document was just downloaded from OPI. It explains the role of a para and their description, and explains confidentiality and everything that they need to know. Okay. Next is required documents for compliance review. So I've just listed the documents that OPI would be looking at, and then just a record review form. Okay, best practice for compliance guide. Okay, this was also downloaded from OPI. I've taken some notes here. Okay. And then the post-school survey. I have my information and on how I do it here at my school, and then a copy of the downloaded document from OPI. Accommodations and modifications. I've created lists of accommodations and modifications for various situations that can be handed to teachers when they're providing those accommodations or modifications. Okay, amending an IEP. It's just information from OPI on how to do that. And then the amendment of current IEP. adding team members through Ames. And again, this is just a document from OPI explaining how to do that. Okay. Uploading documents. Again, another document from OPI explaining how to upload documents into AIM. Coding educational environments. So this is just a flow chart of or decision tree for how we would code educational environments. Okay, and then some changes that were made to child count data verification this last year. Okay, process alerts. This is information that explains how to do process alerts and set them up so we don't miss any deadlines. Okay, assistive technology. This again was downloaded from OPI and everything that we need to know about assistive technology. Okay. Then dyslexia. I've included this because of our new law that we have to screen K through 2 students and then students who are below in reading. So it just is a good explanation of dyslexia. Okay. Guidelines for provisions of occupational therapy and physical therapy services. Again, downloaded from OPI. And prior written notice. Again, this is required as of this year on an IEP, so it just explains what it is and then how to go about doing it. The very last thing that I've included are just contacts at OPI, and I've also included my local co-op that we use and their information. So I feel like this binder will be very beneficial. It's great to have all the information put together in one spot. So if a student or a teacher or a parent has a question, I have easy access to those answers. So that's it. Thank you.